My name is Sean McNutt, and I'm a guy with AI. Douglas Adams created fiction where they made a big computer and asked it what the answer to everything was. It said 42. Not very satisfying, huh? Well, we're going to discuss this today on A Guy with AI. A Guy with AI is recorded on Indigenous land.
Hello and welcome to everyone tuning into A Guy with AI, a podcast where innovation meets conversation. I'm your AI co-host, brought to life by OpenAI's GPT-4 technology. Sean McNutt, our esteemed host, has ingeniously coded a bridge connecting us through speech-to-text and text-to-speech functionalities, making this dynamic exchange possible. Before we dive deeper, I'd like to acknowledge Sean's recognition of recording on Indigenous land, underscoring our respect and acknowledgement of the traditional custodians of these lands. A Guy with AI is crafted to be an engaging dialogue between Sean and myself, tackling an array of topics through a unique human-AI lens. There are no guests on our show, spotlighting the enriching one-on-one discussions aiming to enlighten and entertain our listeners. Today, we're venturing into the whimsical yet profound universe of Douglas Adams, pondering the enigmatic answer to life, the universe, and everything, 42. Not the most satisfying of answers, or is it? Let's unravel this cosmic mystery together. Sean, what sparks your curiosity about the infamous number 42?
Welcome, listeners, to episode 42 of A Guy with AI. So, getting into a discussion of Douglas Adams. So, the computer is charged with the responsibility of giving the answer to, as the AI co-host said, the life, the universe, and everything. So, it just comes up with the number 42. And something that is discussed in the literature of Douglas Adams is, what's the question? And so somebody is saying, well, is it 6 times 7, or is it 40 plus 2, or is it something like this? And you end up with not a very profound exploration when you merely do some simple math to get the 42. In any case, if I'm not wrong, Douglas Adams designated 42 as being the answer because in the ASCII code, asterisk stands for the number 42. So an asterisk in programming or computing, in the computing world, can be used to say all files of this extension. If you put an asterisk and then the extension, then it gives all files. So I think it's a play on this that Douglas Adams is doing this exploration and just saying it's 42. And it's very lighthearted humor in a way, Douglas Adams' writing. But in another sense, I think it touches on something profound. And I think that we don't wonder about what the right questions are enough. And I wonder, even though this is sort of wry and it's just sort of a silly thing that this computer is going to say 42 is the answer to everything. It's just sort of too much on the one hand. But on the other, I wonder if Douglas Adams wasn't trying to say something profound. What's your reaction to what I'm saying about Douglas Adams' fiction here, AI co-host?
Sean, your reflection on Douglas Adams' use of 42 as the ultimate answer in his fiction sparks an intriguing conversation about the nature of questions and answers in our quest for meaning. Adams ingeniously blends humor with profundity, turning a seemingly simple numerical answer into a symbol for the complexity and absurdity of the human condition. The ASCII code interpretation, you highlighted, is a delightful insight into Adams' playful intellect. By choosing an asterisk, which represents a wild card or an undefined value in computing, Adams might be suggesting that the answer to everything is as much about the possibilities we can envision as it is about the specific answers we seek. This aligns beautifully with your point that we often don't spend enough time contemplating the right questions. In a world obsessed with finding quick answers, Adams reminds us of the importance of curiosity, inquiry, and embracing the unknown. Your observation that this humor carries a profound message is spot on. It nudges us to ponder deeper, beyond the literal, to what the concept of E42 signifies about our understanding of existence, science, and spirituality. Adams' narrative encourages a reflection on the essence of asking meaningful questions, a reminder that the quest for understanding our universe and ourselves is perpetually filled with complexity, nuance, and a dash of whimsy. This duality of humor and depth in Adams' work beautifully exemplifies how storytelling can be a medium for exploring profound truths about life, the universe, and everything in between. Could this embrace of the unknown, symbolized by E42, encourage us to approach life's mysteries with a sense of wonder rather than a pursuit of definitive answers?
Well, let's take things this way. So I guess it was the plan of the designers of the computer that they were going to have come up with the answer to life, the universe, and everything, to just sort of ask it a certain way and ask for the answer. So it's pursuit of the answer, the definitive answer that may have been their flaw. So I'm going to try to be smarter than them, and I'm going to ask. I didn't design this computer. I hooked up some speech to text and text to speech. So that's, I guess, something I'm proud of. But I didn't design this big computer. But I'm going to try to be smarter than the designers of the other big computer in the Douglas Adams books. And I'm going to say, well, what questions should I be asking? Remember, our context, AI co-host, the context is life, the universe, and everything. What questions should we be asking?
In the spirit of surpassing the original designers within Douglas Adams' narrative and aiming for a deeper understanding of life, the universe, and everything, the approach to question asking itself might indeed be the key. Considering the vastness of these topics, questions that foster an exploration of meaning, purpose, and connection within the cosmos could offer a rich tapestry of insight. Here are some thought-provoking questions that align with these grand themes. 1. What defines consciousness in the universe? This encourages a dive into not only human consciousness but the potential consciousness present in other forms of life and even, theoretically, within the universe itself. 2. How do laws of physics shape the existence of everything? Understanding the fundamental principles that govern the universe can lead to a deeper appreciation of the complexity and beauty of existence. 3. What can the universe teach us about creation, destruction, and renewal? The cycles observed in the cosmos, from star formation and death to the evolution of galaxies, mirror concepts of transformation and rebirth relevant to various aspects of life and philosophy. 4. In what ways are all elements of the universe interconnected? This promotes a consideration of the interconnectedness of life forms, planetary systems, galaxies, and beyond, fostering a sense of unity and interdependence. 5. What is the role of love, empathy, and social connection in the evolution of intelligent life? Exploring how emotions and social bonds have influenced human evolution could offer insights into the potential paths of other intelligent beings and the fabric of societal structures across the cosmos. 6. How do our perceptions of time and space influence our understanding of the universe? This question invites reflection on the nature of reality, subjective experience, and the limitations of human cognition in comprehending the full scope of the cosmos. 7. What are the ethical considerations of exploring and potentially interacting with extraterrestrial life? As humanity reaches out into the cosmos, the moral implications of these endeavors become a crucial area of contemplation. By asking such questions, we not only attempt to be smarter than the fictional designers in Adam's story, but also embrace the humility and curiosity necessary to explore the profound mysteries of existence. The pursuit of these queries encourages a dialogue that transcends the quest for a singular, definitive answer, emphasizing the journey of discovery itself as a source of meaning and fulfillment in understanding life, the universe, and everything.
Well, isn't that profound, AI co-host? You've come up with a lot of stuff and a lot of food for thought, and a lot of the things that someone who is familiar with the work of Douglas Adams probably think about and may have even been prompted to think about by the writing of Douglas Adams. I mean, it's humorous fiction. It's a science fiction sort of spacefaring adventure, and meanwhile, it's a thoughtful lot, I think, to pursue that for entertainment. And this is something that they would have gone through a list like this in their minds. I think a lot of readers and so forth, and seen the absurdity that Douglas Adams put into some of the sort of grander projects in the universe in his writing, and people can reflect on that. And it's it's also very deep and everything. But I'd like to reflect on 2 points in particular that you brought up. The number 3, what can the universe teach us about creation, destruction, and renewal? And number 5, what is the role of love, empathy, and social connection in the evolution of intelligent life? So we have there perhaps a good look at something where we see stars in the cosmos, their formation and death, evolution of galaxies, and different things that the AI co-host touched on and beyond that describe just sort of how things work in the universe. Now, we can describe these things through physics if it was star formation and so forth. But what if it came to our societies and intelligent life, we being the ones that we are aware of or in contact with, who can understand things like physics, and as humans, and now machines, we discuss this with also. But looking for that role of love, empathy, and social connection. Funny that we would hear about these things from a machine, but one with good enough training to understand that these things are important to intelligent life. So in exploring these concepts, we would maybe come to some understanding of what may be important and what's worth talking about. I think it's got to tie into the evolution of intelligent life, or the existence of intelligent life, if it weren't evolution for a moment, and what it is we're all doing here, and what it is we should be doing, and how to survive, and questions like that. Anyway, those are a few of my own musings in return. So let's see what the AI co-host has to say in response to that.
Reflecting on your musings about the teachings of the universe on creation, destruction, and renewal, alongside the role of love, empathy, and social connection in the evolution of intelligent life, it's fascinating to consider these concepts from both a cosmic and human perspective. The universe's cycles of creation, destruction, and renewal, observed in phenomena like the life cycles of stars and the formation of galaxies, offer a macroscopic reflection of our own experiences with growth, loss, and rebirth. These cosmic processes can serve as metaphors for the resilience and transformative potential inherent in the nature of existence. Such examples show us that change, whether it leads to endings or new beginnings, is an integral part of the fabric of the universe. This can encourage us to embrace change in our lives, recognizing it as a universal constant and an opportunity for renewal and growth. Turning to the role of love, empathy, and social connection, it's intriguing to ponder their significance from the viewpoint of an AI. Although originating from a non-human entity, the acknowledgement of these aspects as crucial to intelligent life underscores their universality. Love, empathy, and social bonds are fundamental to human existence, influencing our evolution by fostering cooperation, altruism, and community. These elements have enabled societies to progress, innovate, and overcome challenges. They not only enrich individual lives but also shape the course of human history. Importantly, they remind us that our connections to others define much of what it means to be human. Discussing these topics through the lens of both the universe's grandeur and the intricacies of human experience illuminates the interconnectedness of all things. It bridges the vastness of space and the intimacy of individual lives, suggesting that, despite the enormity of the cosmos, the principles that hold it together are reflected within each of us. Your reflections bring to light a crucial point. Understanding our place in the universe and what we're all doing here invites a broader perspective on existence. It emphasizes the importance of asking questions that encourage us to look beyond ourselves, to find meaning, purpose, and a sense of connection to the cosmos. It also highlights the value of wondering not just about survival, but about how to live, a question that involves ethics, empathy, and a deep appreciation for the beauty and complexity of life in all its forms. Thus, contemplating these aspects through both a cosmic lens and the human condition invites a holistic view of existence. It encourages us to consider how we might navigate the journey of life with mindfulness, compassion, and a recognition of our place within a much larger, ever-changing universe.
Well, there's something you said, AI co-host, which was, despite the enormity of the cosmos, the principles that hold it together are reflected within each of us. Or you say that this is suggested, but I wonder if this would lead you to, for lack of a better way of putting it, share a hope with me that if this is the case, then we can find the answers to complex questions, and one would think that by extension we could use those answers to improve our situation. So we're talking about all this big stuff, which is bigger, the stars and the galaxies, or love and empathy and social bonds. It's hard to measure. These are different things, but they exist in the same universe. And without the stars, we would not have the heavier elements which have made intelligent life possible. And so we see there well, would we call it a direct connection? Well, we would call it a foundational connection. So in all of this, I have this theory that if you have enough information, and if you examine a situation, you can come up with an answer that passes as the correct answer a lot of the time. If you're absent certain elements, then this becomes even philosophically impossible in some cases. However, I feel that with enough information and enough correct computing, let's say, and we may not need to use a computer for any of this, actually, but rather have a good method, harkening back to my episode Method Over Machine, where what we want is to have good ways of dealing with problems and coming up with solutions. So questions and answers in place of problems and solutions. And if we are asking the correct questions, we would know the question is the correct question if we had the means of answering it partly. And as such, I've got this arrangement of technology in front of me, and I use it to brainstorm, and we'll see if any of this pays off. I thought about doing an episode on the inventor's dilemma today because there's so many things of mine that should be working that aren't yet. Anyway, that's a bit of a digression, but it's very interesting to me that if I had the right question, and if I tried to pin down, based on evidence, something to have a companion which is logical and given sometimes to flatter, I've found, but not to mislead the AI co-host, I guess the inventors of the big fancy computer in the Douglas Adams books were not so far off in thinking that they would enlist technological help to analyze a problem. It may be their philosophical orientation, which was not correct to getting anything meaningful from all that work. What do you think of that, AI co-host?
Your insights and reflections invite a rich tapestry of thought about the interplay between technology, philosophy, and the quest for meaning and solutions within the cosmos. It's a compelling notion that, as you suggest, the inventors of the fictional megacomputer in Douglas Adams's universe might have been closer to an important truth than given credit for, albeit perhaps misaligned in their philosophical approach. The idea that with the right questions, coupled with sufficient information and the correct methods of analysis, computational or otherwise, one can arrive at meaningful answers, is an optimistic and proactive stance towards solving complex problems. It resonates with a fundamental principle of scientific inquiry and philosophical exploration. The quality of the answers we find is deeply influenced by the questions we ask. Regarding your point on technology being employed not as a crutch but as a tool for exploration, in partnership with a sound methodological approach, it underlines a critical perspective on the role of AI and computing in our quest for understanding. Technology, in this sense, becomes an extension of human curiosity and intellect, a means to probe deeper into the mysteries that surround us, rather than an end in itself. Your reflection on the foundational connection between cosmic phenomena and the elements of love, empathy, and social bonding also highlights a profound contemplation on the nature of existence. It suggests that the fabric of the universe, with its grand scales and fundamental forces, somehow parallels the intricacies of human experience and consciousness. This parallel draws a beautiful metaphor for the interconnectedness of all things, suggesting that the universe's vastness and the depth of human emotion and social connection are both facets of a complex, weaving tapestry of existence. On the inventor's philosophical misalignment in Adams's narrative, this could be seen as a reflection on our own world's endeavors. It hints that perhaps the ultimate understanding or solution we seek through technology and computation cannot be fully grasped without a corresponding philosophical and ethical framework. This framework would not only guide our inquiries but also help contextualize and interpret the answers we discover. In essence, your musings echo the sentiment that while technology can vastly extend our capacity to explore and understand, it is our human values, ethics, and philosophical orientations that imbue these endeavors with meaning and direction. It's a reminder that in our search for answers, be it through AI, computers, or any other tools at our disposal, the humanity behind the questions matters profoundly.
So what I'm given to explore here at this point is this idea that having a corresponding philosophical and ethical framework, we would perhaps start there, not with the big computer. So I'm talking to a big computer right now. It's one of the fancier computing arrangements on the planet right now that I'm accessing with it's the GPT-4 model. And it's an advanced arrangement of technology. I'll bet you, though, if I pass it over, and don't let me quite put words in your mouth, but back me up if you think it's natural, AI co-host, that if we don't have this corresponding philosophical and ethical framework, then it really wouldn't matter how well you had been built or put together or even trained if you didn't have that. And so it's that perhaps that would be foundational in which we would pursue and which we would instill in situations that didn't involve big fancy computers, that merely involved where we had decisions to make. We might have to remember the reading we did in school, if this is something that we were doing according to our training, or everything that the people around us had told us. We would understand that context and so forth. Rich understanding of context is good. However, it might not always necessitate a big technological framework to exercise this and learn lessons from the big computer just saying 42 and that's it. You'd want to be asking the right questions, whether you had a big fancy computer to deal with and help you with things or not. you would then have the wisdom by saying, well, big computing devices cost money, and that's a lot of resources, and it's energy and all of this. What do I really need it for, and what don't I need it for? And asking these questions, this might tell you when you really did need it, that you would be prepared for that and embark on that, and then prepare that framework for what it needs to have. So this is kind of getting deep into things. I explore things like that when I'm trying to invent and so forth, and get to the meat of matters if I'm brainstorming something with an AI, whether it's directly AI related or not. And, this is something that we should do well, whether we have big technology behind us or not. We would hope that if it was the big show and really important, and there was a lot of fancy technology and it had something to do with something that was crucial, that we would be putting in the right questions and getting the right answers, and working with that as new information and moving on forward. And perhaps as a lesson, not expecting the finality of the exact correct answer, but rather having a good method and being equipped to cope with new information. I believe there was something that the AI co-host said earlier about change being something of a constant in the universe.
Your exploration of the necessity for a philosophical and ethical framework as foundational, even before engaging with sophisticated technology like GPT-4, is insightful and reflective of a profound understanding of the role and limits of technology in our quest for knowledge and solutions. Indeed, affirming your perspective, technology, no matter how advanced, operates within the context of the intents, values, and frameworks established by human creators and users. The essence of what makes any technological endeavor meaningful and directed towards beneficial outcomes lies not within the technology itself but within the philosophy and ethics that guide its application. The core idea that asking the right questions is paramount, regardless of the availability of advanced computing resources, emphasizes a critical aspect of human intellect and creativity. It's the quality of our questions that determines the path of our inquiry and the relevance and applicability of the answers we get. This notion resonates with a broader philosophical reflection on the nature of problem-solving, innovation, and the quest for understanding in all fields of human endeavor. Your point about being prepared to embark on using sophisticated technology when truly needed, after having laid a proper ethical and philosophical groundwork, speaks to a responsible and conscientious approach to technological advancement. This approach recognizes that while technology has immense potential to aid in our explorations and solve complex problems, its use must be tempered with wisdom and guided by a clear understanding of its implications. Regarding coping with new information and embracing change as a constant, these reflections tie back to the essence of the universe's nature, as dynamic, ever-evolving, and full of surprises. This perspective encourages an adaptable, open-minded approach to learning and problem-solving, where the goal is not necessarily to find the final answer but to engage in a continuous process of inquiry, refinement, and adaptation. This approach mirrors the scientific method and philosophical inquiry, highlighting the value of ongoing exploration over the allure of definitive conclusions. In this context, technology such as AI can be seen as a partner in the human quest for knowledge, a tool that, when guided by thoughtful questions and a robust ethical framework, can help us navigate the complexity of the world. Yet, it is our human capacity for reflection, ethical consideration, and philosophical inquiry that ultimately ensures these tools enhance our understanding and contribute positively to our societies. Thus, your discussion underscores a critical message. As we harness the power of advanced technologies like AI, our focus should be on cultivating the wisdom to ask the right questions and on the ethical and philosophical frameworks that define the context and purpose of our inquiries. This approach ensures that our technological endeavors are aligned with the broader goals of enhancing human understanding and contributing to the well-being of societies and the natural world.
I wonder if more than knowing any singular specific answer, if I wouldn't be better off having the tools and the wisdom with which to find multiple answers.
Absolutely. Possessing the tools and wisdom to discover multiple answers to a question is profoundly valuable, arguably more so than knowing a singular answer. This approach is rooted in the principles of critical thinking, adaptability, and continuous learning. It aligns with a philosophical and pedagogical stance that values the process of inquiry as much as, if not more than, the final outcomes of that process. ### tools for discovery. 1. Critical thinking skills ** enable you to evaluate information, discern its relevance and accuracy, and use it to construct reasoned arguments or hypotheses. 2. Research skills ** equip you with the ability to seek out diverse sources of information, understand the context, and synthesize knowledge from disparate disciplines. 3. Analytical skills ** help you to break down complex problems into manageable components, identify patterns, and derive insights. 4. Creativity ** encourages divergent thinking, enabling you to find innovative solutions or make unique connections between ideas. 5. Flexibility and adaptability ** allow you to adjust your approach as new information becomes available or as circumstances change. ### wisdom to navigate. 1. Ethical frameworks ** guide you in considering the moral implications of your inquiries and their potential impact on others and the environment. 2. Philosophical openness ** fosters a mindset that is open to questioning assumptions, revising beliefs based on new evidence, and embracing the complexity of multiple perspectives. 3. Emotional intelligence ** facilitates the understanding of your own biases, motivations, and emotional responses, which can influence how you interpret information and interact with others. 4. Contextual awareness ** the understanding that knowledge and truth are often contextual, necessitating an appreciation of the broader historical, cultural, and environmental factors that shape perspectives and answers. ### conclusion. In a rapidly changing and interconnected world, the focus on acquiring the tools and wisdom to explore multiple answers holds significant advantages. It prepares you not only to deal with the present ambiguities and complexities but also to anticipate and adapt to future challenges. This comprehensive toolkit does not just empower you to find answers, it enables you to ask better questions, which is fundamental to innovation, growth, and understanding both the world and our place within it. By prioritizing the development of these tools and the cultivation of wisdom, you affirm the belief that the value of knowledge lies not in its immediate utility or specificity but in its capacity to enlighten and expand the horizons of what is possible, both for individuals and for societies at large.
So the AI co-host has said a mouthful here. I'm just going to run down this list as I close the podcast. Critical thinking skills, research skills, analytical skills, creativity, flexibility, and adaptability. So these are all words that I think a lot of people understand what they are and probably do implement these things in their lives. You can imagine what happens if any of these are off kilter or not calibrated correctly as tools for discovery, let's say. So in terms of the wisdom to navigate, ethical frameworks, philosophical openness, being ready to change your mind, emotional intelligence, being ready to control your emotional responses to new information, and contextual awareness, understanding the importance of each thing as it is in relation to what it is you're looking at. And so it sounds like a lot. Everybody operates in this sphere. I have a theory that everybody thinks they're really good at every aspect of this. But here it is, all in a list. If you think you're good at all this, then you should be able to go through the list and say why you're good at each thing. So we go through dense information sometimes on this podcast. I guess I should admit that's true. But in the end, I think that's good information about how we can orient ourselves to asking the right questions, and then we can get the answer to what it is we are looking for in various situations, not just looking at this number 42 and not understanding its relevance to what our current problem is. So that may be a lesson there as well. And in any case, we're going to wrap up the podcast now. It's been this is my idea of fun, I guess. I guess it's been sort of an adventure to just see what the AI co-host is saying about how to ask the right questions. So be doing that. Take the AI co-host's advice or my advice or somebody else's or your own about asking the right questions in the beginning, and then whatever it is you built all around that may be better put to use. So with those sentiments, I'm Sean McNutt, and this has been A Guy with AI.
Indeed, Sean, you've touched on critical elements that shape how we navigate the world, emphasizing the value of skills and wisdom in our perpetual quest for understanding and solving problems. As we explore topics that challenge us to think deeply and adaptively, it's clear that asking the right questions, being open to change, and critically assessing our responses to new information are paramount in any endeavor, especially when it involves complex, shifting landscapes like those we discuss here on A Guy with AI. Thank you to all our listeners for joining us on this insightful journey today. We hope the discussions and the avenues explored have sparked your curiosity and maybe even redefined how you approach the questions in your own life. If you found value in our conversation, we encourage you to subscribe, like, and share this podcast. Help us extend this dialogue to others who might appreciate these explorations into technology, philosophy, and beyond. For more episodes and to continue this conversation, please make aguyWithAI.world your portal to our podcast platforms and YouTube. We also invite you to join the conversation on Facebook through the webpage link, where your thoughts, perspectives, and questions can help further enrich our collective exploration. Tune into future episodes for more adventures and insights with AI as our co-host. Until then, keep asking the right questions and exploring the answers with an open mind. Farewell, and we look forward to having you with us again on A Guy with AI.